drugs and pornography shrinks the brain. The fact that brain is slowly shrinking sounds frightening and painful. Among the many possible causes, mindless activity, drugs, or habits that are unknowingly doing every single day are responsible. Brain shrinkage, linked to a declining memory, difficulty in thinking, or putting together metaphorical puzzle pieces together. By changing a few aspects in life and adding a few brain exercises, brain will get a better chance than before. Start by a good night's sleep, for your brain's sake. According to a recent study published in the journal Neurology, not putting in at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep a day leads to shrinking gray matter in the brain over time. Scientists at the University of Oxford in England collaborated with the University of Oslo in Norway, collected and compared the brain scans of 147 Norwegian adults for 3.5 years. The study participants who had poor sleep quality had experienced shrinkage in the frontal cortex and 3 other areas of the brain responsible for reasoning, planning, memory and problem solving. The brain is made of gray and white matter. The gray matter makes up a large portion of the central nervous system and is where a majority of the brain's neurons are located. The gray matter is responsible for thinking, seeing, hearing, speaking, movement and feelings. The white matter are myelinated axons, which transmit the messages throughout the brain. The gray matter, on the other hand, is the key to processing the information once it is carried along nerve fibers until it reaches its destination. Brain shrinkage can actually help with psychosis by cutting down the amount of activity powered through the thoughts, which is exactly what the antipsychotic drugs are doing. Antipsychotic drugs are known to shrink the brain. Volumes of gray matter shrink with different types of antipsychotics. Higher the dosages of antipsychotics, the more the gray matter shrinks, ultimately decreasing the amount of messages being sent throughout the brain. Shrinking the brain may be worth it, because it decreases the dopamine activity that controls reward and pleasure centers of the brain by decreasing hallucinations and psychosis. Sufferers from depression also have to face deterioration in brain structure and function. Because the dendrites, that connect the neurons together, shrink from lack of pleasure and happiness. Post-mortem findings of depression sufferers' brains show less of gray matter. This is due to the drugs given to block the production of stress. They stop producing the brain-damaging proteins. Major life stresses can cause neurons in the prefrontal cortex, PFC, to shrink severely. Prefrontal cortex are areas responsible for metabolism of glucose, emotional processing, and problem solving. Another part of the brain that is under threat is the striatum. This area is responsible for motivation and rewards. Visual stimuli such as exposure to pornography cause shrinkage of this area. The more often men between the ages of 21 and 45 used pornography, the less gray matter they had inside their heads. Watching pornography causes a proportional deterioration in the connections between the striatum and the PFC. The prefrontal cortex being responsible for managing impulses, social controlling the suppression of emotions and sexual urges. This may lead to a lack of control and impaired decision-making abilities and get worse and more if a person watches pornography. Researchers believe those who watch porn have less control and impaired decision-making abilities than the average person. How to improve brain shrinkage with brain boosters. In the next video, thank you.